Welcome back to Sonoma. We get ready for TCR round 7 of the championship and TCA round 5. Pace car is pulled off. Front row, what it is. Mason Filippi back in action alongside our championship leader, Michael Herzen. And there's the TCA field getting ready for green.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, we are back with our touring car race today.
Fast-packed action here today, ready for another green flag.
This one should be a lot of fun. All these different categories and different speeds, and away we go. Filippi to the inside, Herzen working the outside, Cal, side by side up the hill. Looks like Filippi's going to clear him.
Well, and then Herzen looks to the inside, but nice job giving each other a little bit of racing room. Cheng right in there as well. Nate Vincent in the mix as well.
Looked like Nate might be able to slide underneath Harry Cheng, and he didn't quite get that one done. And then Gonzalez right there as well. Talked to Victor a little bit earlier, and he said, we figured a couple of things out with this car. We think we're going to be a bit more competitive. And he's certainly showing it here in the early going.
Filippi establishes that early lead in the Hyundai. Great to see him back here with Copeland Motorsports. A lot of success early in the season, but right now the FCP Euro parts machines are leading this championship chase. Things settling down. Warm conditions here this afternoon. Pirelli P0s will come up to temperature very, very quickly. Quick 40-minute race here, no time to waste. As Herzen goes after the leader.
Leading in the early going here, again, very impressive, is Steven Vita in his first ever race in World Challenge competition, first ever pro race, and leading in the TCR Cup category. Ooh, big run here by Herzen, really carried some speed, gonna look to the inside. Filippi covers it going into the chicane.
Yeah, Michael looking really racy here.
Uh-oh. Problem here, it's the number 24. It's Crocker. That's a real shame. He's having a really strong run here, Robert Crocker was this weekend. Had qualified very well. Birthday week for him, was looking to really have a good run, at least in one of the races here, but problems early.
Yeah, and that's not a great spot.
No, it's not.
If they can't get any life back in there, I'm pretty sure we're going to see a caution thrown early in the going. Herzen really putting the pressure on Filippi here.
Well, you remember what happened at Circuit of the Americas? Filippi had that problem in that first race in the qualifying, but had a really strong run in the second one, and I don't think Herzen wants any repeat of that. He wants to stay there and fight.
Yes.
Not get dropped quite so quickly.
Well, the Hyundai and the Honda was certainly the class of the field last year, but since that time, FCP Euro had put the sequential box in their VWs, giving them a lot more pace, so this should be a fierce battle here today.
Yeah, it definitely should. And these guys, the Copeland team, they had to really chase some problems early in the week, and they're having a problem with that sequential box in the car. They figured that out. They had a couple of other things. And Mason said that after the 2 test days, and then, or the 2 sessions on the test day, he said it really started to feel good in that morning, first official practice on Friday, and really came around in the second one. And said, yeah, they really worked very hard at it. Got to be pretty impressive here with Harry Cheng in that LA Honda World, LAP Motorsports Honda Civic Type R. Having a very solid performance here this weekend.
Very much so, splitting the 2 FCP Euro machines in the early going at least, and did the same thing in qualifying. So they run as they qualified right now.
And he raced at Circuit of the Americas, but we haven't seen him at the 2 intervening rounds at St. Pete on the street circuit, and then at VIR. So have him come back and be competitive right from the off is good. That lead group of 4 right now has dropped Gonzalez just a little bit here.
These TCR cars have got to be so much fun to drive around this challenging racetrack.
Seriously.
12 turns here at Sonoma Raceway, just under 2.5 miles, but so much elevation change. No bigger than it is right there as you crest 3 and 3A and plummet down the hill into the brake zone for 4.
Going back, watching what's unfolding in the TCA category, and Matt Pombo doing a superb job, the number 59 in that Mini. gone around pole sitter. Tyler Maxson had topped every session that we've had officially so far this weekend, and Mark Pombo jumps in front of him in the step, the STEP JCW Mini Cooper.
I think the big surprise is that Whitmer is way back in the order here.
Yeah, dropped to 8th. He qualified in the 3rd spot. We've seen him. I mean, I remember VIR. He would be up front. He would slide back into 3rd, 4th,
Right.
5th.
I think this is more than that.
And then just come after it again. But yeah, something. I think he got freight trained here at some point.
And he's unbeaten coming into this championship season. Here we see the start of the TCR cars. Like Hertzen was pretty racy, thought about the outside lane. Philippi gives him just enough room. And really tight there between the FCP Euro machines and Chang.
The group behind here in the DSG machines. Here's the run up through 3 and then 3A. Now back at it here. Philippi continues to hang on to the lead, but Hertzen's keeping it close, isn't he?
He is. He's certainly keeping him honest. So see how the cars develop over the 40-minute run here. Tire degradation has been a big story of the day in all of the other races so far. These TCR cars have a lot of downforce, a lot of grip. That may help that situation as you're not sliding the car quite as much. You're planting it into the road.
Now what they don't do is they don't have any kind of traction control or ABS. That's all up to the driver. So these front engine cars with a lot of power in them, you got to really still think about those fronts, don't you?
You certainly do, because you're asking them to do an awful amount of work as Vincent releases the brakes, looks to the inside, no gap, or he's not close enough. He might be a little bit quicker than Chang if he could get by him, but just biding his time. I would assume that the race director has decided that that car off to the side there is out of harm's way.
Well, he moved a little bit more. I don't know what the problem was, but he initially was right on track edge, wasn't he? He was able to get himself a good 10 feet off. That probably is helping calm things in race control just a little bit.
See these cars really eating up that inside curb of the left-hander of turn 9 chicane. Pretty much wide enough to have the whole car up on top of it and not get into the dirt. They're basically saying if you drop wheels, then you're going to start to get into trouble. But in terms of track limit, you can still use the majority of that curbing there.
These little bit smaller cars, and the whole car fits on the curb comfortably, no issues. There's Gonzalez and the number 99 running 5th. Here is James Walker and the number 34 Alfa Romeo from Risi Competizione. Interesting thing there, of course, Risi is going to be running at Le Mans, so the whole team is over there. And so you go, oh boy, who's running the program for him? Well, the Alfa is built by this company called Romeo Ferraris, and they run the World Touring Car R, World TCR program for the Alfa program, and that team is over here. So
Not a bad backup plan, is it?
not at all. And the factory guys come and help you out just a little bit.
Walker always does a good job.
Yes.
A little off in the qualifying session this morning, but rebounded and ended up putting in a pretty strong qualifying run. So he's coming to a lot of new circuits as well for the first time.
Look there at Brian Putt, who's running second in the TCR Cup category, the number 15 entry. And interesting development in the practice session yesterday. He and Mike McCann Jr. had a coming together in turn 4. And Mike McCann ended up on its roof, and it was purely an incident. The two cars just sort of got caught up with each other. Mike ended up on his roof. The car is done. Mike not able to race, but Brian's car got damaged in that, and it didn't look like he was going to be able to run. Talk about a class act. McCann Racing said, harvest what you need off of the car. Here's what's broken that you won't be able to use. What do you need? They found the parts, gave it to Brian Putt. Brian is racing as a result, and came in, of course, as the points leader in the TCR Cup category. So that was huge for that team to offer up a competitor and a points competitor parts to be able to go out and clearly walk away from them a bit. So pretty impressive stuff. Meanwhile, let's get down to Ryan Marine. Some news on TechSport and TCA.
Yeah, we were wondering about Nick Whitmer. Eric Powell from TechSport hopefully can shed a little bit of light. We saw him lose some spots at the start. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunate situation. We literally put a brand new transmission in Nick's car for the race, and, you know, unfortunately parts fail. It's part of racing. That's why they call it racing and not winning. It's not ideal. You know, he's leading the championship, and this will be a little bit of a hit, but we'll rebound. He'll have another brand new transmission for tomorrow, and we'll try again.
Now, sorry to see him out so soon. How much work is that then for the team to make sure this car's ready to go for race 2?
Me too. I mean, it's really no problem at all. We're a well-oiled machine. We'll have the transmission in an hour. It's not a problem. Unfortunately, we can't do it while the race is going on.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating.
It is, and I think it's frustrating for Eric Powell as well to not be driving. He's a great competitor, really had a great season last year in terms of his speed, but just didn't have the reliability and the luck go his way to get the championship versus Tom O'Gorman. But he was really the instigator behind the development of this car and has brought it to the level that it's at. So we're hoping to see Eric back behind the wheel on a more permanent basis versus the other side of the pit wall.
Yeah, he's good on both, but he's really good behind the wheel for sure, and I miss having him there. So we've been watching the team car, the number 95 of Ben Bettenhausen, who is in a pretty good little scrap right now with the number 25. Duking it out as they're working through here. You can see Jose De Silva in the 07, the all-white Mazda as well.
Ooh, really wide there, coming off the carousel. Just got way out in the gray. Did a nice job of not losing control there. Just rode it out. Actually, the road is, when you're off-road, it's pretty smooth there. Look, he is way out of bounds.
In the marbles. He had a problem early, too, because right now he's showing as being a lap down on top of it, so that'll frustrate you a little bit. There's a look at Jose De Silva in the South 6. Ives Motorsports entry. One of those drivers that just doesn't quite have the ability to come to every race on the tour, but whenever he shows up, he is always a factor.
Yeah, he's really quick.
Oh, and he's hounding Stephen Zhu there in the 02, putting some pressure on him and forcing him to run a little bit wide. De Silva, is he going to be able to make it from the outside?
Yeah, that was nicely done.
It was. Oh! There's that little touch.
You didn't quite give him enough room there, so well, that was some nice clean driving by De Silva, and
I don't think that was anyway intentional by Zhu. I think he just misjudged it, and you can see it damaged that left front corner. His car had splitters dragging on the ground.
Right.
Behind them is Cole Corallo in the number 25.
See that Mazda bogging down a little bit with its gear ratio over the top of turn 2. And that's the difficulty. I mean, it's not like you can change these gear ratios individually like a true race car and make them suit the race circuit. You're pretty much stuck with what you got. Sometimes you come to a circuit and there's just no way around it. You were basically in the wrong gear for a certain corner, and you just got to deal with it.
Yeah, Filippi has been able for the first time to find a little bit of extra speed, and as that margin up over Hertzen to over a second.
Vincent up to third now, got Ryan Chang.
And as we watch Hertzen as he's trying to hang with Mason Filippi, let's get back down to Ryan.
I checked in on a couple of those stories also involving the TechSport guys. First of all, the Bettenhausen car, that team does not believe that they've lost a lap. They think this is a scoring issue, so they're working with the timing and scoring folks to try and get that rectified. As far as the number 24 of Crocker, apparently the car just lost power, and so unfortunately not going to be able to complete any laps today.
All right, thanks very much, Ryan. Appreciate that. And you know, Bettenhausen was sure racing hard with everybody around him for a guy who's a class act and is down a couple laps.
Yeah.
So I think that makes a very good point. And the scoring's done with a transponder, and you have a little glitch with wiring or whatever, that can happen for sure. Bad news about Crocker, though. I had a chance to visit with him a little bit yesterday, and talk about a passionate young man about his racing.
Now the fast laps so far, which will determine grid for tomorrow. Filippi, fast lap of the day, 150.1. then it is really close between Hertzen, Vincent, and Cheng. All have run 150.3s, led by Vincent's 150.32 versus a 3.6 and a 3.8.
That's incredibly close. You know, Gonzalez, after struggling with that car early in the season, he's running a 150.7. He said they found a few things. They thought they'd be more competitive, I guess.
15 minutes in, 40-minute race. Starting to get into the lap TCA cars. Always fun. I actually like the multi-class racing. It spices things up a little bit.
That's Whitmer they're coming up on. He was the runaway point leader, but dealing with that bulky gearbox right now.
I assume it's just stuck in a gear, I would imagine.
Must be. Yeah, I mean, he just ran his fast lap of the race. It was a 2:04, so he definitely has some issues.
Yeah. It's about 5 seconds off the front running pace in TCA.
And it's unfortunate because, of course, one of the things that Whitmer very much was in play for was the Cabana Cup. And having a problem like that, that's going to put that perhaps in jeopardy.
The other problem is if you do have a relatively bad day and with the depth of the field in TCA, points only go down to 10th. So right now he's outside of that, so it could be on for the big goose egg.
And he's going to be starting well back in the pack, too.
Any other good news?
Well, he's a Whitmer. So that's the good news, is he can certainly make his way back up through the pack for sure.
Little battle here between the two Hondas. Getting even better.
Gonzalez taking a look on Cheng here. Not quite able to get through, but great to see Gonzalez look at this racy. Problem for Jenny Gannett as they come by here. She's in that Mazda. Let's get down to Ryan.
Well, we were actually going to speak to Casey Barrett from Ian Lacey Racing about Jenny as she slowed down. He obviously had to put his headset on. This is a remarkable story that they're even out on the track. They had to get an engine shipped in here to do an engine change. So, Casey, we were going to talk to you about the engine change, but first, can you give us an update on what just happened?
It sounds like maybe there's a gearbox issue now.
Okay. Could it be related?
No, it's probably not related.
Okay, well, for folks at home, tell us the story about just how much work went into making sure Jenny was even on track here for this race.
Well, first of all, Mazda Motorsports really pulled through for us. They got an engine secured, got it on a truck. It was about an 8-hour drive for the driver that brought it up to us. And it showed up at about 9 o'clock this morning, and we already had the engine out. You know, we had all day yesterday to take care of that prep. And then today, got it in, got everything buttoned up, went through tech a little bit, you know, made sure everything was still kosher. And yeah, now we're out, very happy to be out here on the track with the whole field.
It's a remarkable story. Now, what do you know about the gearbox situation?
You know, this is the first time we've ever had a gearbox situation, so this is new to me. And it's hard for me to pay attention to this conversation, you know, want to get back on the telephone with her.
Yeah, we'll let you do that. Thank you, Casey.
All right, thanks for stopping by.
That's the consummate crew chief right there. Yeah, it's nice chatting with you. But I got a driver out there who's struggling a little bit. And yeah, we've said it so many times, but I mean, what these crews do, you know, they are the unsung heroes of this sport, and they just put in these remarkable hours.
Well, it's frustrating. You have a day like he just described, and then the car's suddenly got another issue. It's a real kick.
Yeah, it is. There's Filippi. It may have slowed up Hertzen just a little bit. Filippi was able to get through on De Silva really cleanly. A little bit of bodywork damage on Filippi's car. That left front. These cars are pretty aero sensitive. You wonder.
Fence is just tripped up there a little bit on the left side. You see it tails away as well, left front corner. Not too much of an issue.
No. But I was going to say, Hertzen didn't get quite the clean run through on De Silva.
Right.
And that may have cost him. It was 1.2 seconds last time by. I was talking with Mason, and they said they are really trying to figure out a way to be able to do all the rest of the races in this championship. They really want to do them. They've missed a few, obviously, and I think that puts Hertzen and Vincent in an interesting place, doesn't it? Yeah, you want, you know, overall wins and the like, but, you know, how hard do you battle here to try and get around and risk things in terms of a finish? But on the other hand, there's a big swing between first and second, and if Filippi keeps ripping those off,
right,
that changes the whole dynamic, doesn't it?
It really does. But your races at heart, you want to win.
Sure.
So you know, even though Michael Hertzen has got his eye on the big prize of a championship potential, he would love to get more victories this year, even if Filippi's there and creating quite the challenge.
Look, we just had a look there, by the way, at 3rd, 4th, 5th in the Touring Car A category, the 69 of Haldeman, the 60 Mini of Nuremberg, and the 77 of Hagler. Here is a look at Maxon, who's been able to get back around Pombo, and Tyler, who in both official practice sessions and qualifying sessions was up top, fell behind Pombo at the start, but has worked his way back around and has that margin up last time by start finish to about 1.4 seconds.
Yeah, had that pole position. Nice qualifying session for him this morning. Big day for Copeland. They lead both of the classes here, so see if their drivers can bring it home. Halfway point in this race right now.
And it's interesting, if you were hearing about it, that it almost sounds like in places the Mazdas just don't have the right gearing for Maxon to be this fast. If that's the case, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's I mean, remember when Mazdas used to go to Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, it just seemed like the car was perfectly set. And it wasn't just the handling. The drivers used to say the gear ratios just suit this track.
That's true.
Coincidentally, it wasn't like they designed it to get around Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, now known as WeatherTech Raceway. But, you know, it's just horses for courses. But typically going to be compromised in certain corners, and just particularly if the grip level is changing, it might be good at one point. But if you're low on RPM and then suddenly you see Pombo there, I'm going to take through the grass there. Stews will probably watch his sector time, make sure he doesn't gain any advantage with that.
But the one thing about these Mazdas is, even if you maybe are compromised a little bit with the gear, this, that, or the other thing, they are so easy on tires. And that could be a huge factor here as Filippi now, Hertz and Vincent starting to work their way through.
Yeah, Hertz is closer.
Yeah, he is. The front group here in the TCA class. Hertz is going to swing down, or Filippi swings down. Hertzen again. Nice.
The traffic. That's good for him.
Time. Yeah, that margin went from 1.3 to half a second. It's that close, and closer still now. Boy, did he get a run up and into 2.
Yeah, he really rolls a lot of speed through 1, takes a slightly different line, doesn't compromise, doesn't hold it over to the left as much, and just lets it roll through there with speed. Yeah, the tires chirping there on the braking.
Yeah, it's when your ABS is your left foot. Boy, he's there.
It's right there. What looked like a comfortable lead has suddenly changed completely in the course of a lap. Vincent has got pace as well, so any more traffic, this could become a 3-way battle, which then fortunately you got a wingman in terms of your teammate behind, but that makes it so much more difficult for Michael Hertzen to put the pressure on, because he's got to be watching his rearview mirror as well if Vincent does get closer. Oh, he got a big run there. We talk about this racetrack basically not being high speed, but it seems like if you get a run through the S's, you can really pick up a bit of a draft, and that really brings you into that braking zone with a lot more speed than the guy in front of you.
It's really interesting. I'm trying to look and see if there's any place in particular that Filippi looks like he's suddenly just not got pace. The car's not working well. It almost looks more like Hertzen's just going faster.
Well, they got that traffic on the last lap, and that basically erased the gap that Mason had built up, and maybe he's just got to get back into his rhythm a little bit.
Look at the speed Hertzen starts into that corner.
Yeah, he just really attacks it, doesn't he? He's working well. Vincent right there. Took half a second out of the gap on the 2 leaders, so lock up by Michael has allowed his teammate to be right on his tail.
Yeah.
This is good stuff. I mean, and I think when you know each other well, as you can with a teammate, or whether it's you're racing against your brother or things like that, I think it really changes the dynamic, Greg. As much as you want to put that off to one side,
right?
I think when you suddenly get into a real racing situation, I've never been in that scenario per se, but you'd have to think you're going to give the other person a little bit more leeway than you typically would with any other competitor.
You would think, absolutely. This is going to get interesting too, because this trio leading overall are coming up. Oh, and Hertzen got another great run, almost looked early.
Yeah.
And they're coming up on the 2 leaders in TCA, up on the back of Pombo and Maxon.
This is going to get really interesting down here and at the chicane.
Yep.
Hertzen just needs to think about timing the run off here. Vincent's got a grandstand seat to all of this action.
Boy, doesn't he? Now Filippi's going to swing to the outside. Pombo, pretty savvy, knows he's there. Hertzen's got to go way down to the inside to not lose touch. And Filippi could not clear Maxon, and here comes Hertzen.
Oh, big bite there. He gets down on that curb and gets the bite and traction off the corner. I'm not sure Filippi realizes how far alongside he does now. Hertzen's going to go for it. He's going for the lead.
Yep. He carries great speed here. Shuts the door.
Beautiful.
Yep.
That was sweet.
That was beautiful. And
that's his normal line, too. He's not going to run a different line. He's been running that all day long.
And I think Hertzen wanted to use Maxon as a pick, and Filippi was having none of it. Just kept drifting over on him.
Okay, Mason, what do you got?
Yeah.
Have to dig deep now, otherwise his teammate's going to be by as well.
Yeah, see Vincent right there showed the nose.
I thought it was just the traffic had created this dynamic, but maybe Mason's car has fallen off a little bit in terms of a tire deck situation or just balance.
I wonder if that little fence on that outside is losing a little bit of aero where he really needs it. Because now Vincent is all over the back of him.
Yeah. Oh, and he's got the inside lane.
Boy, that was close.
It changes the dynamic of that corner, doesn't it, with that
It truly does.
different approach into 7.
And now,
look at Hertzen, he's gone.
I was going to say, Filippi now is defending on Vincent. And Hertzen looking in his mirrors, loving what he's seeing back there. The lap times. Of course, there was traffic that they were dealing with and everything. They were 3 seconds off of fast laps in that last lap, but there was traffic involved.
And Hertzen is just taken off from Filippi right now. And I'm not sure if he just got out of his rhythm or whether there is definitely a problem with that Copeland Motorsport car.
It's like he's not getting the power down as effectively.
I agree. Just not accelerating and saying. Let's take another look at it, just reading the traffic. Really tight here into the turn 11 hairpin. But then just watch where Hertzen puts his race car right on top of that curb and just gets the power down. He's alongside it before Filippi can react and take the lane away.
And he just stormed up the hill into turn 1 and made it stick. Now, Vincent is doing everything. He tried to get around Mason Filippi, and Ryan, we're wondering what's up.
Well, Dean Copeland hopefully can tell us. We saw Mason running up front. It seems like the pace has come off a little bit. What has he been talking about?
Yeah, he had some contact with one of the TCA cars, car 44. He was lapping him. He came across his nose, and you could see the front fender is damaged. The splitter's hanging off. You know, he just doesn't have the front end grip that he once had, knocked the toe out. So he's doing the best he can, but it seems we lost a little bit of front end downforce and grip. So it's unfortunate, but it's racing circumstances. So hopefully he can just bring it home and salvage a podium.
He and the team have been phenomenal all weekend long, though.
Yeah, you know, this is our debut with the Hyundai Veloster and TCR. You know, we've been really excited. It's an awesome program. I can't say anything but great things about the car. It's an awesome piece of machinery. You know, I would definitely recommend anybody looking into TCR contact Brian Hurd Auto Sports and go get you one of them hot rods. But hopefully we can manage this little bit of damage, a little minor mishap, but we'll be back at him again tomorrow.
Tough break today. Thank you, though.
Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you, Victor Gonzalez has joined this scrap and is looking real racy.
He really is, and I'm just very surprised that it doesn't look like that much damage, but obviously Mason's the guy driving it and feeling it, and how it's affected the balance.
Well, I wonder if maybe the bigger issue is the toe. If they said it knocked the toe out, if that's really the bigger thing here, because that fence you talked about, the splitter is loosened up a little bit there on the bottom.
Vincent's in a tough spot now because he's got a lot of pressure from behind. Chang has dropped way down the order. I'm not sure what's going on with the 14 car. Down to 7th overall.
And that last lap, just to put it in perspective, Hertzen turned to 52.6, Filippi and Vincent 54s.
Yeah, and that's what's allowed Gonzalez to join the party.
Yeah, he turned to 52 flat that last lap, and Walker is starting to find a little bit of speed now, but he's a long ways back. And look at this, Vincent to the outside.
He's got to be careful here. He's going to open up the door right there.
Yeah.
Such a different dynamic when you're running in a trio like this versus a solo battle, because you know you make that big move and you just try to work the guy over in front, and suddenly you got someone else going to fill that slot.
Boy, Gonzalez got a great run out of the chicane. Vincent way down to the, oh! Filippi sort of drifted a little bit. Vincent had to swing over a little bit. You saw the back end step out. It was the FCP Euro crew.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, basically Vincent was committed to the inside, and then Mason didn't give him enough room, and then suddenly there's no grip down there, loses the rear end, and contact was inevitable.
Now Vincent, in a bit of anger, I'm sure, trying to force his way. He got through on Filippi.
Yeah. Got to get around Walker now, though, to get back on the podium. Take another look at it. Has a big run, big commitment there to the inside. Filippi kind of gives him just about enough room, but when he gets the right side over that yellow line, then he's hard on the brakes, just starts to twitch on him a little bit, couldn't keep it together.
They were able to gather it up and continue, but here comes Walker and went through. By the way, we heard about PJ Gronke. That he was the driver of the 44 that they said Filippi had a little contact with. Well, he's now retired with a transmission issue.
I'm curious to see what the stewards do about that one. I'd call it a racing incident. I mean, Mason didn't really do it overtly blocking. Certainly, Vincent wasn't intentional on taking.
No, not at all. I mean, the only thing that I could see any kind of a reaction by the stewards other than racing incident was that second little move by Filippi. You know, was that in reaction? It was pretty minor.
Right.
So, and you're right. I think it was more Vincent getting those tires on that paint stripe under heavy braking. So Gonzalez now sits second. What a day for him.
Yeah, it's a great day, great performance.
And Walker up into third. Again, seconds back at this stage, but he's really had struggled since that crash at St. Pete when they got the new car right before VIR and had no time to test and develop it. And they said it was just completely. And when I talked to him, he said what they found was that the car was just way too stiff.
Hurston's last lap at 156 versus 152 for Gonzalez, so that gap went from like 6 seconds down to 2.
what prompted that.
Yeah, and then we've got to think about Vincent was pretty close to Walker, but he's lost a bit of ground, so I'm not sure if Vincent's car is injured. Otherwise, you'd think he'd be on the attack to try and get back on that podium.
You wonder if Hertzen maybe fell afoul of some traffic in some way, shape, or form. And in the Touring Car Cup category, just to remind you, it is the number 15 of Brian Putt, putting together another great day in the Europarts.com row racing. Audi Genuine Parts and Aries machine. And here's your leader in TCA, Tyler Maxson. The number 74 Copeland machine. The Four Seasons Express Auto Wash entry. Remember, he had a pole at the opening round at the Circuit of the Americas, and then in the second race had just a bizarre little crash, rebounded with 2 seconds at VIR, so this will be nice for him. And
nice run for Mark here today.
it is. It is just
Such
very
a keen competitor.
Yeah, he is.
Loves his racing.
So much experience.
Yep.
By the way, third in the TCR Cup category remains the number 18 of Steven Vida in the EXR team by Prima Audi. Again, his first ever race in the pro category, and he put it on pole and led a large chunk of this race. Then Brian Putt was able to get through, and ultimately Christian Cole in the McCann Racing No Shock entry was able to come through as well. Cole coming off of VIR with a second with the fast race lap, and then winning the next day in his category. So he's been showing some good speed. So still a very impressive run by Vida.
And another strong performance in the podium position right now in TCA.
He's just been throwing those down with some regularity, hasn't he? He's been top 5 pretty much everywhere, and then got his first podium at VIR. His qualifying has improved every time out.
Look at the gap up front.
Oh boy.
Gonzalez has got that gap down to basically nothing. 0.6 of a second last time across the stripe. He is feeling it. What is going on with our leader's car right now?
You think he burned off the tires maybe, and some of that charge he had to put together?
He certainly, once he got by into that lead around Philippi, he took off.
Yeah.
But Gonzalez has got a really strong car here late in the going. He's still laying lap times down within a second of his best of the day, so he's certainly done the best job of managing.
The irony for Gonzalez, ooh, lock up there. The irony for Gonzalez is
He's
most lot of
problems
lock
there.
up.
He's wide. He's wide. He's going to lose the lead right here.
He's struggling.
He doesn't lose the lead. I wonder if they'll make him give it up,
Yeah.
because he only kept the lead by cutting through the grass there. Now he closed the door really tight. Intense moments here in the final
Yes,
couple
it
laps of
is.
this race.
There's going to be 2 laps to go.
He's struggling into the brake zone.
Yes,
Something's
he
going
is.
on with his race car. Locked up not once but twice, and then still had to take to the grass to get through the chicane.
Gonzalez, it's interesting, most of his experience as we watch this moment here when locked up again, didn't he?
I think Gonzalez kind of waited momentarily to see what was going to happen. I think if he'd kept flat chat there, he'd have passed him for the lead, but maybe it'll happen now.
Oh, and Hertzen had to wait for the 780 Sally McNulty car to turn in. Oh,
That's really hurt
that has.
Gonzalez here. Oh, this is going to be huge. Probably a 2-second gap right there.
Yep.
Sometimes race cars just can't disappear. You have traffic come up on you in a critical part of the racetrack, and particularly with the elevation change, sometimes it's just hard to see. There's so much going on. It'd be like, well, why
Sure.
didn't she just get out of the way? Well, it's not that easy.
It's not, and in the carousel in particular, if you try and move off, you get in the marbles and you're off. So.
Is this the break that Hertzen was looking for? And what will the stewards do about him?
Yeah.
Cutting through the grass there, and did he gain advantage?
Boy, but look,
Oh, he's
again,
struggling again. He
huge
just can't
struggle.
get the car slowed down.
Gonzalez But I've been getting at here for a while is Gonzalez has really made his name doing stock car road racing, and man, did he get a launch out of the chicane down to the inside. He's through.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's grip related why Michael's struggling under the brakes or whether he's got a brake issue as well, but he's just really struggling to get through that final chicane. 1 lap to go. What a day this could be for Gonzalez.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he ran in 2016, he ran Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and he did a cup race here, believe it or not, in 2013. So that's his experience of Sonoma. That's pretty interesting, but a 2-time racer in the 24 Hours of Daytona in 2006 and 7 with the Nanamakers. So he's got road racing experience.
Can't imagine a more polar opposite than a cup car or a TCR car.
I know, unbelievable. Boy, in that section of track, that exit of 5 is dirty, isn't it? White flag out. There's Tyler Maxson picking up that white flag. Hurtson he's trying to come back at him.
Yeah, he's just got something majorly amiss with his race car late in the going. Since he got the lead, it was good for about 2 more laps and it's just fallen off a cliff.
And the place he's been struggling huge is right here. And look at that. I mean, it's like he can't get power down and then he can't get the brakes to work. That was a little cleaner. Well, last time through turn 10, Victor Gonzalez in the number 99 VGMC Racing, the Elite Motor Tolson 2's Grupo Arbolada machine works its way through that final hairpin up into turn 12. What a story. The Honda Civic Type R from VGMC Racing comes through, gets the win in TCR with point leader Michael Hurtson coming through in second. James Walker, number of seconds back, might just be able to hang on for third. Vincent has given him a bit of a run here, but I think Walker's going to hang on for the podium. Here is Tyler Maxson. You can see the margin he's got built up to the red Mini JCW entry. So Tyler coming up through turn 10.
Walker hangs on for that podium position with Vincent dropping away in the last couple of laps.
Good to see that, of course, for Walker. Vincent, I'm sure, would have liked a little bit more time here. And Filippi limping at home after running the fastest race lap early into the 5th spot. And there it is, Copeland very happy as Tyler Maxson's going to come onto the front straight and claim the win here at Sonoma Raceway for Mazda in TCA. Pombo right there sweeps through into second. And Halderman in the number 69 X-Factor Honda will be third. That's kind of nice too, isn't it? 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 in TCA. Brian Putt winning, the point leader winning in the Row Racing eEuroparts.com Audi in the TCR Cup category over the McCann Racing entry of Christian Cole, the number 27, the no-shock machine. And then again, what a run by Steven Vida for EXR Team by Prima in the Morgan Preyes and Vida Autosports Audi. But this big story here, Victor Gonzalez hasn't run the full season. Came in, was chasing things a little bit. It was nice to see when I went and chatted with him. He had a big grin on his face and said, "We found a few things."
Yeah.
And I guess so. What a day.
Very strong late in the going. He just maintained his pace as everyone else fell off. So beautifully controlled, and I think that with the combination of Michael Hurtson, our championship leader, struggling a little bit in the late going, turned the tables.
Just really curious as to what the issue was with Hurtson, huh? Just. Because, yeah, like you said, when he got to the lead, it looked like he was just gone.
Yeah.
And then suddenly problems of some sort cropped up.
Yes.
Here's a look at the provisional results. Top 5 cars, all TCR category cars with the synchro gearboxes. Then 6th, 7th, and 8th there with the black number with the white background. It's a TCR Cup entry with the DSG box. And then look back, 10th overall, Tyler Maxson leading home the TCA contingent. Good run by Norenberg and Jose De Silva. Always love to see it. He's such a nice guy in that ICE Motorsports team. Just a great group of people, and he brings it home with a top 5. So good news for him. Fortunately, I just want to mention Damon Scherzen. He had some contact. Another car clipped him in one of the sessions yesterday. And he said on top of that, they've been struggling with some overheating, and that's why he's well down the order. And of course, the gearbox issue for Whitmer.
Yeah.
That's big. He had a lot of.
He's got a huge one this year.
Yeah, huge points margin. He can give something up, but you don't want to be giving it up like that. Meanwhile, Victor Gonzalez is out of the car. Ryan Marine is there.
Well, Victor, you started 5th. You raced your way to the front, took the lead there in the final couple of laps. How did you do it?
I'm so happy, first of all, for this small team. We drove all the way from Orlando, where we're based at, and we didn't know what to expect. HPD helped us a lot with the upgrades, and I'm just grateful for the series to let me, even though we're really small, just 2 people, come be here and compete. We knew that for the qualifying we have a really good car. I just messed it up and I couldn't do the lap, but our setup we knew was going to come up later at the race, so I saved up my tires until the halfway point, and then I start pushing. When I saw them, they were struggling with front grip. We were still don't have understeer, so I played with my brake bias as much as I could, and it worked. And we win it. And I have to say thanks to LA Honda, that without them, we couldn't be here, because they let us some parts to race, and I'm grateful for that.
What does a win do for a small team like yours?
It's big. It's huge, because everything started. We put this together in a month, and I talked to 2 people, and I told them, hey, I got this idea. I think it will be awesome, and they believe in me, and we're here.
It was awesome indeed. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can hear the emotion there. It's a small team like that coming in and achieving what they just did. That's huge.
Fantastic. Well done, Victor.
Yeah,
he drove
great
brilliantly, and he executed exactly. He described it perfectly in terms of what he knew he had. He adjusted the race car. He knew they'd be strong at the second half of the races. Everyone else struggled for that power down, front wheel drive coming off the corners. His car was strong as Hertzen struggled.
Yep, a Cinderella story unfolding. Let's go back, take a look at it. At the start, pole sitter Mason Filippi in the Copeland Motorsports Hyundai Veloster into the lead. Hertzen showing he had some intentions here, but not able to quite get it done. And Steven Vita leading away from pole in the TCR Cup category. But then this big moment here, as Hertzen able to find a way around a struggling Mason Filippi.
Yeah, Filippi with that little bit of damage, as his team alluded to, just really hurt his pace. And then he comes under attack from Nate Vincent. Vincent down to the inside, just loses control a little bit, just tips him. Unfortunate. You see Gonzalez is through, and then he went on the attack for this man, Michael Hertzen, the championship leader, had the lead of the race. Took the shortcut here, held on to the lead for another lap, but it wasn't to be.
And eventually he was able to come through. Here was the move and the pass for the lead. There's Gonzalez just down to the inside. Hertzen struggling. Wanted to do the counter move, but Gonzalez had it covered. And that was enough, and he was able to drive on, take that win away. Hertzen did end up second, and Walker comes home in third. But in the TCR category, the Cinderella story and the emotion in victory circle. Gotta love it.